Well, James Jones, West Ham United have qualified from their Europa League group stage as winners after a convincing win away at Rapid Vienna. We were supposed to be there. We weren't able to be there, just like so many other West Ham fans. First, because of the UEFA away fan ban, then because of Austria's national lockdown meant we couldn't even make the trip at all. And yeah, all in all, it was exactly what we hoped for, really. The game was... Well, I'll be honest, I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was okay at best, a comfortable 2-0 victory. West Ham didn't really get out of second or third gear, really. Andrei Yarmolenko with a nice header after Mark Noble had given him an absolute volley just minutes before for not playing the ball quick enough. And then Marky Noble, Mr. West Ham himself, completes what must have been a lifetime dream or a career-long dream or even a childhood dream for him, scoring for his hometown club in Europe. All nice and comfortable in the end, Jonesy. We had lots of the ball. We've won the Group H with a game to spare. All very comfortable and all very nice. What did you make of it?
Oh, yeah, I thought it was a cliche, very professional performance. I mean, I think I would have liked to have been a little bit more clinical on the night. You know, it wasn't the best game of football that we'll see this season. I mean, I fell asleep for the last 10 minutes of it.
I must admit, I did for bits just get a bit distracted, yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I mean, it wasn't edge of your seat vintage football, was it? It was kind of
it just wasn't a spectacle, was it, which you're hoping for Europe with no fans?
I think the fact there was no fans probably played a part in that.
Massively.
But yeah, I don't know. I would have just liked to have seen us been a little bit more clinical. We had enough chances to score more than two. It's very similar to the home game against Vienna. And then we had more than enough chances to really sort of, put 4 or 5 past them if we really wanted to. But I think although he scored his goal, I thought Yarmolenko just didn't impress me one bit. For me, I just thought, I don't know. He got his goal.
It doesn't work there anymore, does it? Like, it doesn't. It's a square peg in the roundest of holes, isn't it?
Yeah, there's just
obviously time for him to move on. But if he scores every time he plays, you can't really complain.
That's the thing, though. He doesn't, though, does he?
Well, all right. Yeah, but in this instance, I think
he did score, and it was only 5 minutes before he scored, and I think it was probably the exact moment that Noble gave him a bit of a dressing down. But I shouted at the TV, just going, "What on earth are you doing?" Like, just simple football. Like, I just don't understand what he's doing. And he pops up with a header. He's like, "All right, okay, fair enough." But yeah, like everyone else, I think it's a decent enough performance. But yeah, he just really stood out as someone that just either didn't want to be there or couldn't be bothered. Or I don't know. It was really baffling.
Mate, I don't think it's that. I honestly think, right? I genuinely think he's a good player. He obviously, which is fine as well, likes playing for Ukraine more than West Ham because he doesn't particularly. You can't begrudge him that. Really, he doesn't care about West Ham as such. Like, he's already played the best football of his career at club level and international level. He's not in the team that much. He hasn't got a particular affinity with the fans. You know, he's just sort of there earning his money, like doing what he's got to do. And but I think the main reason is that I just think his style is so contrasting to ours. He's even when he plays for Ukraine, he might look better, but he's still a very languid, he's not overly high energy, is he? He's still he's a technical player rather than a like blood and guts and thunder. And I think David Moyes' team this year, first of all, one of the first things Moyes said when he walked through the door was, if you're not going to run for me, you're not going to play for this team. Well, Yarmolenko isn't that sort of player, is he? He's just one last relic of a bygone era, I find. And I think, I'd like to see it done in January, really. I don't think he brings enough to warrant. Do a swap, like bring someone else in for sure. I'm not saying we don't need the bodies, but I just think the wages he's on, it's going to happen, isn't it? It's not like all of a sudden he's going to be superb and fight his way back into the team. His general ability is on the downward trend, and he's battling Jared Bowen and Pablo Fornals, Said Benrahma, arguably certainly the first two, arguably our two best players of the season in a scintillating season. There isn't any incentive for him to keep playing, is there? So I just don't think he'd be that harsh on him. He scored his goal. His style doesn't fit the way Moyes wants to play with West Ham and is playing with West Ham. He hasn't got a future at the club, which is clear. As long as he's being professional, turning up, doing his thing, still one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid, which is funny / annoying. Get rid in Jan, but he scored. Put us 1-0 up in Europe. You can't make it all about him, can we? Like this week.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Next week we'll do it. Next time he comes on and does nothing, we'll do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing though, is that there was a period in his West Ham career where you could bring him off the bench and you could be sort of quietly confident he'd change a game. He'd come off and score like he did, and like you think, okay, well, not a bad player to come off the bench and make something happen and score a goal or something like that. Or, but now he doesn't even do that.
Oh, he scored on Thursday. That's why we're talking about him.
But I mean, he's played 13 games this season, I think.
Despite that lack of continuity, he's still gone away in Europe and put us 1-0 up. What a man!
Yeah, I mean, what a hero! What a hero!
You're having a go at him. Blimey.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's
amazing the mindset of some fans, isn't it?
I'm sure he's a lovely guy. But yeah, not for me anymore. Yeah, just.
But you genuinely, not being facetious, you can't knock it if he scores, can you? Really? Like, what more do you want from him? Like, or no, what more? But what more can he give? Like, he's not gonna just start sprinting around all over the place at 31 or 2 or whatever he is. Is he?
No. I see your point. But
he is who he is, isn't he? Like,
yeah. I get your point. I don't know. I think he's better than what we're getting out of him at the moment. Yeah. I genuinely think he's better than what we're getting out of him.
Just to clarify then, what would you have needed from him the other night? 2 goals? With that 3, 4 before you
I would have wanted him to
contribution.
I would have wanted his all-round game to have more of an influence on West Ham's attacking threat.
Right.
All-round game, I said. So yeah, okay, he scored.
But I don't want to. You heard Roy Keane and Jamie Carragher arguing on Sky at the weekend, no doubt.
Wonderful viewing, by the way.
That's top quality content, isn't it? I know it's a bit cynical, and I know they do a lot of it on purpose, but still, like proper edge of the seat, like about to tear into each other.
Yeah, loved it.
But I mean, Roy Keane made quite a succinct point. I don't know about you. I'm Team Keane, by the way. In that instance, he was making some perfectly salient points that obviously he was shouting them in a thick Irish accent. But Carragher was just like, couldn't hear the simple, straightforward message that Keane was saying. But yeah, I'm Team Keane when he said, "What's football about, Jamie? Scoring goals. He scores goals." Yarmolenko, James, football's about scoring goals. He scored a goal. What more do you want?
Shut up. I'm not having it.
What more do you want, James Carragher? Well, you like it when people call you Jamie, actually, don't you?
No, do not call me Jamie, please. I'm not having it. I don't think he's good enough. And one-headed goal from 2 yards out isn't going to change my mind.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Mark Noble then scoring the penalty. That was in a drab game. That was sort of like, it was wonderful to see him score, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
even though he wasn't even that buzzing, was he? I was like, "Come on, Mark, at least take your shirt off."
Yeah, I mean, if I was him, I would have slid across my knees to the corner flag.
Yeah,
I don't know, done like a really angry celebration, like just take my boot off and chuck it or something
at Yarmolenko.
Or something. Like, yeah, like. But then at the same time, you kind of knew it was done by that point, didn't you?
Yeah, no fans as well, wasn't it?
That's what it is.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, last one then, Jonesy. Surely, this is going to lift your spirits somewhat. Sonny Perkins coming off the bench at the death. Don't tell me, he missed from 2 yards. Don't want to talk about him. Sell him.
No. I was gutted for him. I was off my seat.
Yarmolenko scored a header from that distance in the first half. Shows a golfing class, doesn't it?
He's got about 8 years worth of experience over little Sonny Perkins. Like, come on. Yeah, no, that was the only moment of the whole game that got me up off my seat when he had that chance. I
thought you meant when he come off. When he come on, you stood up. Very weird.
I stood up and applauded.
Yeah, very odd behaviour.
In the flat on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looking at your shed.
Yeah. It's quite good idea, actually. Yeah, no, I can't believe he missed it. Well, I suppose he didn't miss it. It's good save from the keeper in the end, but gutted for him. Absolutely gutted for him.
Yeah, no, that would have been perfect, wouldn't it? Carlton come afterwards going, you got to head that down there. I was like, Carlton, you've missed well easier chances than that, mate.
Yeah, come on, mate.
Yeah. If Joe Cole was saying it.
Coming from a player that could never score a one-on-one.
Yeah. If it was Joe Cole, you go, yeah, fair enough. Like pretty successful footballer overall. A few titles, played a few England caps, etc. Carlton Cole going, yeah, you just got to head that down there because it makes it a lot easier for the keeper. I'm like, Carlton, how many of those do you not even hit at the target, mate?
To be fair, Carlton Cole was a very, very good header of the ball. But at the same time, he was also the master at scoring the most difficult of chances and missing the easiest chances.
Yeah.
I'll never forget he was one-on-one against the goalkeeper. I think it was in a cup game against someone. He was one-on-one with a keeper and he fell over the ball. And then fed into the keeper, and then the ball just landed in front of him, and he just tapped it in one in a heap on the floor. It's like, why have you made that look so much more difficult than it actually is?
Yeah, just slot it past him, mate.
Just slot it past him. It's almost like he deliberately dummied the keeper by falling over in front of him.
Yeah. But then, like 2 games later, there'll be one, wouldn't it, where they'd like pinged ball diagonal from the left back position. He lets it drop over his right hand shoulder, hits it or like flicks it up. Does an unnecessary spin and volleys it in the bottom left corner, wheels away in front of the Bobby Moore lower, just like giving it big ones. But 2 games before it. So Carlton would also like it if you scored from like 6 yards out as well when there's no goalie there. But yeah, no, it's brilliant for Perkins to send. By all accounts, Jonesy, it's not just, I'm always wary with young players coming through, and I tend to I quite naturally don't get carried away with the excitement too often, really, because I sort of very much Freddie Sears, Jordan Spence, Elliot Lee syndrome, Dan Potts, that sort of thing. All of those players, and whether fans like to admit it or not, there's lots and lots of fans who always jump on the hype, and they're always there. They're going to be the next best thing, and da-da-da-da-da. I loved it when Freddie Sears scored against Blackburn, don't get me wrong, but it was quite clear quite quickly he wasn't quite going to cut it. But by all accounts and what they've seen from him so far, Sonny Perkins understood to be a real contender and someone who's going to go far in the game, Jones.
Yeah, I think he's amongst a fair few in there that quite a lot of people at the club have got high hopes for. It's good to see another academy product make an appearance in the first team. David Moyes has done a lot of that since he came back to the club.
Yeah,
5 or 6 players have had debuts. I think it's like the under 21s, or the development squad as they call it now. It looks like they're in good form as well. I think they're either first or second in the Premier League 2. So there's a lot of good players down there. Sonny Perkins being the latest to come through and get his opportunity, but it'd be interesting to see which ones actually continue to break through.
There we go. Right. Interesting to see. My least favourite phrase in the whole of football.
Yeah. I've got to squeeze it in at least once just to keep you happy, mate. But yeah, then you got, Ben Johnson was the last one, I think, to come through.
Yeah, before it's like Ngakia, wasn't it?
Ngakia.
Obviously Declan Rice, but
I
remember being sorry to interrupt you, mate. Sorry, I remember being absolutely. I think we both were. To be fair, I'm not dragging you down with me, but I remember being absolutely livid that Ngakia was going, like incensed. Could not. I was basically ready to. That was it. Done with the club forever. He's obviously going to be the next Glenn Johnson, but better. Like, he's a shoo-in the team every week. Why are we not paying him 35 grand a week? Blah blah blah. Just like couldn't see any other argument. And then,
interestingly though, at the time, it was a well-known fact that he was only in the team because Ben Johnson was injured at the time, and it should have been Ben Johnson who got his opportunity. And it was well known that the club felt that Ben Johnson was always the better player, and that's why they were quite happy to let Ngakia go, even though Ngakia played 4 good games for West Ham. Everyone was like, no, you can't let him go. He's great. Like, we hadn't seen Ben Johnson, really, had we? And then Big Ben pops up and we're like, oh, yeah, that's why they're letting Ngakia go for nothing, because we got arguably one of the best.
Good. Yeah,
he's class. Superb, mate.
He's pretty good. He's okay. He's also played 4 good games for West Ham.
And the rest. Closing in on 32, I think, or 33.
No, but you know what I mean, like, yeah. Anyway, that's in the past now. Sonny Perkins and Jonesy, your high hopes for him, or now humour me here. Can I expect to see him turning out for Luton with George Moncur, Merrick Stetch, Elliot Lee, Dan Potts? Well, basically, West Ham's reserve team from 5 years ago is now Luton Town's first team.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say, because I think, who was it Afolayan that played in the FA Cup, came off the bench in the FA Cup?
Scored up at Bolton now, isn't he?
Went on loan to Bolton shortly after, and then we just sold him to Bolton. And everyone was like, oh okay. So, I thought he was going to be the next best thing, because he come off the bench and scored in the FA Cup. So difficult to say, isn't it, mate? Difficult to say. But just good to see young players get given an opportunity.
Yeah, that is right, mate. That is right. It would have been a dream if he'd scored, but yeah, I'm sure he'll have many more opportunities ahead of him. Fingers crossed. Nice to see him have that moment with Noble at the end. So James, that's it. Qualified, 13 points from 5 games, 1-4, drawn 1, goals for 11, goals against 2. Dinamo Zagreb in second place, 7 points. They can't catch us when we face them at London Stadium in early December. What are you going to do for that game, James? Do you think it's one of those things where, just from a sports science perspective and a bit of like fairness of the competition perspective, that we've got to play a decent team, or is it one of those where we haven't even got enough people in the squad to play a complete B team anyway? Just we haven't got enough bodies. What's your brief ideals about what you'd like to see from that game?
I'd like David Moyes. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter go, just play the kids. It's like, well, no, what? Why? I don't understand why you do that. I think David Moyes won't do that either. He might do what he did in the Vienna game and give one or two a chance off the bench, but I think he'll still, same game plan, heavily rotated squad. Might rest maybe another 1 or 2 other key players, but it's going to be the first team rotated. And I just don't see why you would do anything otherwise, because, yeah, okay, we got a thin squad and we got loads of fixtures, and it's pretty much a dead rubber. But
it just is, isn't it?
It literally rubber, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
But it's also another opportunity for the team to play a game of football in a style of football that he wants, work on it. What's the point of losing a game of football or risking losing a game of football and then undoing all the hard work you've done before in terms of confidence, form, all the rest of it? I still think you go in there and try and win the game.
Yeah, maybe.
Because if you've got a squad of players that are, I mean, we're not going to be.
Sounds a bit strong. Yeah.
You've got a squad of players that are put on a good run of form, and then that form is then broken because you've been left out of a game in the Europa League because the Europa League game doesn't mean much, and then suddenly that form is no longer a good run of form because you've lost in the Europa League. I don't think it does a lot for confidence.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you give Perkins a start then?
No.
Really? See, that's what I mean. I like the idea of like rotated and then some. Like, I mean, obviously, there's no question Alex Kral definitely won't get a game. Obviously.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Still rattled by that, aren't you? But yeah, I mean, again, surely he's got to get a sniff. Why not give Perkins a run out? To be honest, not that resting Mikel Antonio has done him any favours up at City. Another fairly abject performance. So we'll cover that in the next part. But I sort of see what you mean about the form, but I also think is such a complete dead rubber. It's basically like a friendly. So I'd just be, and I'm sure is what David Moyes will be doing. He'll be listening to the sports scientists and go, right, which players will benefit from a run out, which players will benefit from a rest. And yeah, we're not on a great run of form anyway at the moment, are we? Hopefully we will have picked up slightly by the time that game comes round. But yeah, I must admit I'm with those who maybe not play the kids. Obviously, like, you got to treat the competition with a bit of respect. And I'm sure there are UEFA rules about that sort of thing, because Genk, if they beat Rapid Vienna, it's going to have to be some severe goal swing, to be fair. But, there's a 7-goal difference between them at the moment, so pretty unlikely Genk are going to do enough to overtake Zagreb, but technically there's still some points to play for. But yeah, I'd be resting as many as possible, I think. But that game's a way off, Jonesy, and we'll do a proper review on that in the build-up. But we've got to look back to another game next, and that's the 2-1 defeat at Manchester City, a snowy Etihad on Sunday, and we'll chat about that next. Lads, the holidays have come early this year as our partners Manscaped have the gift that keeps on trimming, with a whole host of male grooming products on offer, from the Lawnmower 4.0 to their new refined cologne and everything in between. Manscaped have got everything you need to make sure you're looking more Michael Bublé and less Santa Claus this holiday season. And in the spirit of Christmas, you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code WeAreWestHam. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code WeAreWestHam, all one word. Now is the perfect time to get yourself or a loved one the gift of shaving. I am talking about the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. The Performance Package 4.0 is the best in the business. This hygiene bundle includes the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, a pair of boxer shorts, a travel kit, and liquid formulations.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof with advanced skin-safe technology to reduce nicks and cuts, and it even has a light to help with all those little dark spots down below. And then there's the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer with its proprietary skin-safe technology that helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs. Also in the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 is Crop Preserver, which is a spray that protects against chafing, the Crop Reviver, which will ensure things down there remain fresh at all times, and then there's the Foot Duster, which will make even the ugliest of feet, like mine, look and smell lovely, and much, much more. And to top it all off, you even get a shed travel bag so you can carry all your precious Manscaped products in style everywhere you go. So to get your hands on the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 and to see all the other lovely male grooming products they have on offer ahead of the festive season, head over to manscaped.com today. And remember, get 20% off and free shipping with the code WeAreWestHam. That's WeAreWestHam, all one word, WeAreWestHam. It's 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. So go on, make Santa proud and cement your place on his nice list this Christmas by joining the Manscaped movement.
2-1 Manchester City. James Ilkay Gundogan putting City ahead after 33 minutes. Very, very snowy conditions. I was secretly hoping the game got called off, not obviously for all those fans that travelled all the way up there, but more because I thought we'd gone 1-0 down. We didn't really look like we were going to get back into the game, and perhaps if it got called off, David Moyes might be able to regroup, have a proper chat with the lads, and we might be able to make a bit of a fist of it next time round. Unfortunately not. The City ground staff did an excellent job at half-time, clearing all that snow off the pitch. The weather eased up somewhat, but the second half was reasonably drab, wasn't it, James? We mentioned to David Mooney, who we had on the week before, for our City opposition view, and I said, does it get boring watching City? He said no, but it was very much, template A, plan A from Manchester City, the same old thing that we used to seeing every week. And it seemed to work. I didn't feel like we were completely dominated. I just didn't feel like we were offering that much. City wrapped it up. Fernandinho stroked home after 90th minute, which looked to have completely killed the game. And Manuel Lanzini comes up with an absolute screamer right at the death in the 94th minute to make the scoreline look slightly more respectable, and I think probably slightly more flattering on West Ham than it perhaps could have been. What did you make of the game, James? We covered a little bit in the intro, of course, but what did you think? It was just, I don't know, like 2-1, okay, a respectable score, but we just never, unlike when we played him in the Cup not long ago, this time round, we never ever looked like coming close.
I think it looks a lot better in the first half. As I said before, second half comes round and City really then show their dominance. They're quite happy just keeping hold of the ball and just not doing anything with it. It's so difficult to get the ball off them. Whereas
we were quite happy to get the ball and then give it away or not do anything with it. Yeah.
But we did show one or two with threatening without being threatening, if that's even a thing, in the second half, where we'd get the ball, we might have a little gallop forward. We'd gallop forward a little bit, and then it'll be a rubbish final third ball or something like that.
Time and time again, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I'm still baffled at Declan Rice went on that little run where he beat like 3 players and ran into the box. And it was like, right, we'll just put it across the face of the goal now. And he just carried on running off the pitch.
Into the away fans.
Yeah, it's like, Deck, what are you doing, mate?
I think he went for he seemed to underestimate how fast the ball was travelling. Because I think he went for one last dummy, didn't he? Yeah. And then to fizz it right across the line. But he played the dummy and the ball was going way faster than he thought. And he just dummied it out for a goal kick.
Yeah, but it was one or two moments where we'd get into those positions or we'd get near those positions. And it's like, right, okay, well, there's the ball or there's the cross, get the cross in. And it just never happened. They'd go back to the keeper or we try and play it into central areas and it get picked up by one of the City players and then suddenly we're back to square one again. And that was the frustrating part for me. There's a couple of times when Ben Johnson had a couple of chances to put the ball in the box and didn't do it. Just a couple of little crosses. I can see you smirking at me. What are you going to say now?
I just wonder because obviously Ben Johnson being one of the best right backs you've ever seen play live in your whole life, I was thinking Ngakia would have probably crossed it in a little bit earlier.
The trouble is, though, Ngakia's would have been like too far. It would have gone out for a throw the other end or something like that. Whereas Ben Johnson, he decided to do it, would have gone straight on the head of Mikel Antonio.
Instead of just running into a dead end.
Exactly. But yeah, it wasn't a bad performance. We were beaten by the better team on the day. Probably should have taken our half chances in the first half, but yeah, nothing there.
I don't know about you, mate. I just don't look. I never ever look forward to playing City. Chelsea next weekend, I'm quite looking forward to, even though they're really good. And even Liverpool the other week. Obviously, you're going to be playing the ref as well most times. But when City comes up, I never think, the ref's going to be dodgy or anything like that. Because I don't think they're too divey or horrible like Man United of old. They're just really, really boringly, efficiently good, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like football in its weirdly purist form. When it's okay, it's you're too good that it takes the entertainment out of it. Because it's just so robotic and the same, and they're really good at executing it. And it's just I never look forward to the games because you don't. If you play Liverpool, whatever, they're so attacking. You feel like even if they might score 4, but you're going to get a chance at a couple. Everything's perfect with City, isn't it? The balance is perfect. They're really good at all the parts of the pitch, and everything just. There's no errors everywhere. It's just oh god.
Well, that's it. They never make mistakes. They never make mistakes. There's no wayward passes.
No, the decision making's always spot on.
Yeah, they're everywhere as well. It's like they've got 14 players on the pitch because they win every second, third, and fourth ball, and it's I don't know, but then teams like Chelsea, there are mistakes in Chelsea's team. We saw it against Man United.
Yeah,
Jorginho. So. But you're right about City. They are just boringly good. So no complaints about the result, really. Yeah. Right.
I'd just, you know what? It was just, it wasn't that we didn't show up. It was just we didn't even, like scare them or even get close. I know we scored, but obviously right at the death just out of nowhere. But before that, it wasn't, sometimes you think, City were really good. If you've put your best in as well, you think, yeah, fair enough. All right, yeah, they might be boringly good, but they are good. And we were beaten by the better team. We obviously were, but I did think we were quite sloppy and poor as well. Unlike when we played them in the cup, we didn't have much of the ball again. But when we did, we looked quite dangerous with it and looked like we might do something with it. This time around, people said to me, that's what City do to you, you get tired. It's like, well, I watched them only a few weeks ago and West Ham looked really dangerous when they got the ball. Yeah. And they were really incisive and they were patient, picked their moments. This time around, I thought Antonio, mate, it's just poor again. And whether it's his fault or not, right, his form, players have dips in form, whatever. But it is just one of those things where you just think he's got no competition. There's no one to bring on instead of him. And although it's a brilliant season, blah, 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 because you sort of think, it could be better if we'd have had another striker on board. And I don't know, obviously Sonny Perkins unlikely to be the sort of level where Antonio's particularly worried about him. Moyes said last week, didn't he? We covered it quite extensively. Moyes saying that he needs to be in tip-top condition, Mikel Antonio. Whether he is or he isn't, I don't know. He just looks off it. He's never superb on the ball, is he? He always seems to not know what he's going to do next, and it's as much of a surprise for the defender as it is for him, etc. But just a few weeks running now, isn't it? It's just like touches are off, like shinning balls when he's trying to control them, which there's always been parts of that in his game, but it's always been mixed in with a couple of absolute like power blasting runs where he smashes a couple of defenders up in the air, makes it horrible for them to play against, and whizzes one past the goalie's like head or the post, or even if he doesn't score, he sort of looks like at 1 or 2 points in the game, he just explodes and does something, albeit unorthodox, that you think, blimey, yeah, he's decent to have up there. And obviously at the beginning of the season, he was banging him in for fun. And I just think now's the time, if you want to be competing at that end of the table, which we obviously do, now's the time where you want to be able to go, right, Mick, you're hooked. You're not playing the next game, you're dropped. Just for a game or two. And that might give him the little, because it might only be 5% that he's off at the moment, mightn't it? But something's gone wrong, isn't it? Whether it's a bit of confidence or it's a bit of training, I don't know. But I just think not having someone behind him, the only thing he's got to pull his finger out is whether he wants to or not, really. I'm not saying he's making that conscious decision, but sometimes it's that little subconscious 5%, isn't it? And all Premier League managers have, and Premier League teams have competition for places. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And where we haven't got that, I just feel at the weekend he's just playing rubbish again. And you just think, well, there's no one to bring on for him. We look a bit makes us look a bit B-Tech.
I see where you're coming from to an extent. I think on the flip side, I mean, he didn't really get a great deal of service on Sunday. Harks back to, there was so many occasions where we should have put an early cross in. Antonio sitting in the box waiting. He did have that moment, I think it was in the first half, where he did beat 1 or 2 players, ran into the box, quite wide out, and ended up running into the side netting because he didn't play the ball in.
It was just one of those games, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, but it's all down to decision making, because 1 or 2 of those crosses go in the box and he heads 1 or 2 in, and then suddenly he's had the greatest game ever, similar to Yarmolenko with Vienna. So, yeah, I mean, but his all-round game has dipped over the last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, Moyes came out afterwards and said that, he's had a word with all the attacking players and they've got to be more clinical and need to improve that part of the game in the team, because the last 3 or 4 games in the Premier League, 2 or 3 games, aside from the Liverpool game, we haven't been as clinical as we perhaps have been earlier on in the season. The Liverpool game as well, we have gifted at least one of them. Because world-class keeper Alisson couldn't catch the ball, but bless him. But yeah, I don't know. I just think he hasn't been on top form. maybe that's because he's got no competition. He's got his record at the club now.
I don't think this isn't a.
It's not conscious. He's not sitting there going,
no, definitely not. No, it's not a slagging of him at all.
I've guaranteed me starting 11 place. I've got me club record. I don't need to do it anymore. Like, he's definitely not doing that
consciously. But that's a subconscious thing. I don't know about the record, but like just the fact that I'm a shoo-in to play centre forward, not because I'm so good and I'm guaranteed a spot in the team. It's not that.
I saw someone tweet. I think it was early today or maybe last night, saying that he needs to stop trying to play for Jamaica and just concentrate on playing for West Ham. And it's like,
stupid.
Okay, I mean, it's a little
ridiculous.
A little bit frustrating that he's had to travel those miles on an international break, but like, you can't expect him to do something that you definitely wouldn't do if you were in his position.
Mate, it's
like,
just ridiculous.
If you've got a chance to play for your country as a footballer, you're going to go and play for your country regardless of where that game is. And if I
assume that was on Twitter, you saw that.
Absolutely, yeah,
because that's just done for clout, isn't it? It's just like.
But no, do you know what? With this one, I genuinely believe it was someone that actually believed exactly what they were saying in terms of mate, just stop playing for your country and just focus on West Ham. Like, you're ruining West Ham's chance of finishing the top 4 because you're not playing well enough because you travelled 3,000 miles the other day. They got called out by quite a lot of West Ham fans to just went, "Oh, shut up." Like,
good.
It just made me laugh. It was just like, really, is that what some fans have come to?
I don't know. There is obviously something wrong. So if they think,
and it's only been 2 or 3 games, by the way. It's not as if he's like been off the ball for the entire season.
When was the last time he scored, James?
Beginning of October against Spurs.
The 29th of November now, James. 2 months is a long time, isn't it? The Brighton fans who are booing Graham Potter at the moment, they haven't won since September, the end of September.
Well, we've still won games since then.
Yeah, but he's a striker, isn't he? Just scoring goals. But it's not. You're underplaying it there. You do have a tendency to overdo things one way or the other, don't you? And this time you're underplaying it. It's not been 2 or 3 games. He hasn't scored from the beginning of October.
Yeah, but
he's a striker.
Even though he's not scored since then, he hasn't had 6 really poor performances. He's still, it's only been the last.
How I know?
What do you mean?
Because he's in my fantasy team. The assists he hasn't been flying with assists
I still think he's played quite well. I think it's only in the last 2 games where he has particularly not played very well that it's now been highlighted. Oh, blimey, he hasn't scored in how many games? 7 games or whatever it is, 6 games. But before then, I still think he's contributed. He's made contributions to the team that have assisted the wins.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think we've been particularly harsh on him, to be honest.
No, well, that's what I was saying. Like, we've made it clear it's not a digging him out, and it's not a conscious thing. I don't think. I just think at times like this, when there are little blips, competent and not an all round. We're doing brilliantly this season. I just think if we want to maintain this sort of level, you look at Arsenal, right? Who are our main contender, it looks like, for that top 4 spot. Yeah. Well, if Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has a bit of a blip, they've got Alexander Lacazette to come in. I mean, yeah, that's the difference in quality. You'd give your right arm to have Alexander Lacazette probably starting realistically, not just coming off the bench. And I think you've got to look at those teams around us now, haven't we? It's no good looking at Wolves and saying, oh, they got Raul Jimenez, and then if he doesn't, that Hwang is a half decent player. That's not the level we want to be at anymore, is it? David Moyes is talking about top 4. We're all loving it. We want to be in and around that conversation year in, year out. So therefore, you've got to look at what the teams who regularly get into those places are doing. And that is having a backup centre forward, isn't it? Or more than one player in every position. Aaron Cresswell, he's playing the best football of his career, but no doubt about it at the moment. But even he knows that if he has a little bit of a blip or an off spell, all right, there's quite a significant golfing quality, probably, as much as it pains me to say it. But Arthur Masuaku can step in. And Antonio hasn't got that, has he? His next best thing is Sonny Perkins, who can't score from 4 yards. Joking. But you know what I mean? There's a big gulf, isn't there, between Antonio and someone likely to take his place, because we've got Bowen, who is better in another position. But anyway, enough of that. Jonesy, what did you think of the snow before we move on from the Man City thing? What did you think of the snow? Because I genuinely thought we can't play in this anymore. And if they scored at the end of the first half, I'd have been annoyed because I was convinced. I was like, the shirts are light blue. The snow basically looks like blue. It's well hard for the West Ham players to see where the City players are, but we've got dark shirts on. This is unfair. Cancel the game. Call the game off. Give us a point each. Let's go home.
I think I was more annoyed by the fact that like Sonny just couldn't see where the lines on the pitch were. He didn't know where the penalty box was. Like, I mean, I was watching on a stream which wasn't of great quality, which made it a hell of a lot worse.
That sounds very legal either, James.
That was just my internet connection. But yeah, like I couldn't work out what was what. What was mesmerising though was the ball trails. Passing. I couldn't stop watching them. I was like, it's like a stat map.
More entertaining than the football.
It's like a little pass map, isn't it? Real life pass map. But yeah. No, I think if there was maybe 10 or 15 minutes more left of that first half, they may have postponed it to clean it. But
on that note, Jonesy, I think if we're talking about lines the ball was making in the snow, I think we've probably exhausted all the possible conversational topics for West Ham v Man City at the Etihad on Sunday.